Lizzo. We were rooting for you, Lizzo. Well, I was rooting for you. We got to talk about it. Like the video as the intro plays.
Make it make sense. Could somebody please make it make sense?
Big moves. Surfer. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you say. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you say. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense.
Okay, y'all. Lizzo, when I first heard the rumors about there was going to be a lawsuit, I was kind of like, I don't want to jump on any bandwagon because I really like Lizzo. It's not just about the body positivity thing. I like Lizzo. I would hang out with Lizzo. The problem is you can't make everybody hang out with you. And I'm starting to feel like because they employed plus size people, the thought was I can make you do whatever I want. I can make you rehearse for 12 hours. I can even low key shade you about your weight. None of this is okay. So I am going to wait till it pans out, but I really want you guys to hear exactly what's going on directly from the dancers who are speaking out. Because one way to always tell if something is okay or cool is if you flip it. So if this were female dancers making these accusations about a male artist, would you feel the same way? That's the caveat. That's the point. So let me let you hear. I'm going to let you hear what TMZ chose to share because this is shady. If you were just to listen to the TMZ interview, you would think that these women were just whining. But y'all know how TMZ does. So shout out to TMZ for this, but we got to listen.
Where dancers who did have fun with her and go along with like what she was doing and be down for anything, that they were favored, they were hired for more shows, they were invited on like private jets and to do cool things, and could hang out with her in like tropical settings like Hawaii and stuff like that. Some of our coworkers, it's just like there was no line between professionalism and personal.
I want you guys to hear that again, because again, if you were just to hear this clip, you would think that the girls were whining. Also, not my normal time. Guys, definitely hit the like button. We got over 150 people in here. Definitely helps my channel. I never ask for money or anything like that, but I definitely ask that you hit the like button because that's what lets YouTube know that I'm here and I'm live. So likes are always appreciated. But I want you guys to hear this again, because if you listen, it sounds like they're just whining.
Have fun with her. Dancers who did have fun with her and go along with like what she was doing and be down for anything, that they were favored, they were hired for more shows, they were invited on like private jets and to do cool things, and could hang out with her in like tropical settings like Hawaii and stuff like that. Some of our coworkers, it's just like there was no line between professionalism and personal.
That's why I like Lizzo. I would jump on the plane. The problem it sounds whiny. It does. However, even with that, you got to give a little, there has to be professionalism, but you also have to take into account the way that stars work, right? If I'm having a good time with you, if I like you, if I want to party with you, trust me, I know people who were just partying with Janet Jackson in London. She took her dancers who were extremely appreciative to have gone. They stayed up all night. It happens. I know somebody who danced with Beyonce. There are things that go on that are kind of like perks that come with being around a celebrity. The problem is, don't be mad if you're not chosen to be in the fun crew if that's not necessarily what you're giving. I can't fault Lizzo for wanting to have fun with the people that she employs and doing it on her dime. The other stuff, the bananas, Lizzo, we got to talk. But it was important to let you hear the way TMZ chose to package their interview. They packaged it to make it seem like the girls were just being disgruntled employees because they got picked over. Good morning, everybody. I see you guys coming in. Oh, Lizzo. Gabor is not a Lizzo fan. I definitely am a Lizzo fan. We've had whole arguments. I love her, but in the grand scheme of things, do I listen to her records over and over again? No. But I do love her, and I do listen to her stuff as it comes out. Anyway, let's see where we are. We got almost 100 likes. So, okay, yeah, keep the likes rolling. The fraternizing after work is tricky. The harassment was unacceptable. Exactly. That's the thing. I think that those girls should have left out that part, but we're going to get into their whole interview. And then we're going to get into some stuff that Lizzo has acknowledged and then people who are backing the girls. Trust me, mark my words. The girls who were on those private jets, who were the fun ones, will be coming out in defense of Lizzo. Mark my words. Lizzo's about to get a lot of support from a lot of people, even if they say Beyonce took her off the list.
More strict. Things that, you know, the other cast members could do and, you know, get away with. Essentially, the dancers were not allowed to engage in any of that activity in terms of like the false allegations that they had brought forth to us when we were on tour about us drinking before shows and things like that. That was never the case. In fact, alcohol was never even allowed in our dressing room or on our rider, which is the food and drinks provided to us. So it was like literally impossible for us to even do that, but yet we were the ones who were blamed for drinking on the job. It was stated to us by, you know, Lizzo that she was like, it doesn't matter if I'm doing it. It doesn't matter if the band or anyone else is doing it. It's like, you guys can't do it.
What I hear.
I wonder though, I'm going to reach out to my friend that used to dance for Beyonce and find out if there are more stringent rules for dancers in general, because I can imagine people partying like rock stars, but the dancers have to maintain their breath. They have to have endurance to perform the whole time. I don't know if there's different rules for different people, but I definitely will find out for you guys. Danielle says, I'm a Lizzo fan, but as a local HR representative, you can't treat people like that and show favoritism, can't you? I feel like I'm one of the fun ones in every office, and so I might get invited out to places that other people don't. Will I talk about it? No, because I don't, you know, I'm not the ops. Somebody said, is the management team supposed to serve as HR? How does it work with artists? Genuine question. I'll find that question out too. I would jump on the plane, but I would draw the line if she tried to force me to go to the club. That's why I put my foot down. Speak up. Yeah. I'm just disappointed. I know there's truth to it. Where there's smoke, it'll be flaming soon enough. And the thing is, they're only suing for $75,000. That's not much. We'll get into it. But let's keep listening.
Because you guys were let go, you're saying that, you know, the reasons why you were let go, you believe were false. Why do you think you were let go?
For me personally, we did have a meeting, the one that Ari was speaking of, with her mentioning the allegations of us drinking before shows. And in that particular meeting, I did ask to speak, in which I informed her and let her know that us drinking before shows was never the case, and that we would never want to put her, the show, or ourselves or our jobs in jeopardy. To which she kind of just blew it off and said, okay, well, if you're not drinking before, well, then good for you. You still aren't performing the way that y'all need to. And people are probably saying that because of how you're performing. So, and then days later, I was let go in a hotel lobby.
Now, Tony, definitely, I never do this, but I will drop the link for Tony if you want to come up. He says he's been an employment law attorney and in HR for 20 years. Danielle is also somebody I know personally and is in HR. So I'll drop the link for you too. So you guys can kind of give some expert opinion if you want to come up, but it's only going to be for Tony and Danielle. I'm not trying to get y'all in trouble at work. But the link again is only for Tony and Danielle. I'm not going to let anybody else up.
So,
ladies, the lawsuit names Lizzo, her touring company, and her former creative director, Charlene Quigley. Outside of the claims,
is it okay for Lizzo not to like the way they're performing? We know Beyonce fires people on the spot. That is crew, staff, dancers. All they have to do is say they don't like what you're doing. So I don't know if I agree necessarily with not right. I'm supposed to be working right now. I don't know if I agree necessarily with that stance. You can be fired for not, doing the work as the artist wants you to do it. What's up, Danielle?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so I just watched the TMZ interview as well as to the CBS 18-minute interview. And I'm shocked.
Tony can't join.
Oh,
he said he's about to be in he's about to jump on. Well, this is just Surviving Lizzo Part 1. So Tony, you are more than welcome.
What in the Surviving Lizzo?
It's the Surviving Lizzo Part 1. So maybe you'll be on Surviving Lizzo Part 2. So what were you saying, Danielle?
No, just watching the interview. One, I feel bad for the young ladies, and I hope that the other dancers who were show favoritism speak up, because what's going to end, it's just bad. One of the interviewers on the CBS morning show, whatever that was, I was watching, whatever clip is here on YouTube, it's like 18 minutes long. They asked them, why are
That's
you
what we're listening to right now.
Oh, okay. They asked, the gentleman asked, why are you guys speaking up now? Mm-hmm. Are you speaking up because you were terminated? And I think from what I gathered, and I'm assuming this is just my personal opinion based on how I comprehended it, they're speaking up because of how they're terminated and what they perceive of their termination. I don't know if their contract is based out of California. California laws are completely different than the rest of the United States as far as employment. So I don't know.
Dealing with unions. Trust me, I know.
Do they have a union? Do the dancers have a union already?
No, I don't know about dancers. I'm just saying in general, in corporate America and the position that I'm in, dealing with California law is definitely
all the certifications that I've obtained in HR, California, I've heard their test is way more stringent than any other area because their laws are so different. So I don't know if their contract is based out of California, saying these young ladies live in California. But a lot of this is going to be dimmed on the contract. Most states are at-will states, meaning they can terminate you at any time. But if these young ladies feel like they were terminated based on what they're describing, the one young lady said she felt like Lizzo was like, oh, you gained weight. And she said it. She said that Lizzo kind of made it seem like it was more of a concern as opposed of a punch, but she received it as a punch.
Well, yeah, if she had an eating disorder. But yeah, let's continue because everybody hasn't
okay, be quiet.
Everybody hasn't heard this yet. We're also gonna get into the bananas, y'all. And I know about the bananas personally. Because so many people
how you know about the bananas personally? Is it story time?
Because when I worked in Iraq, right? A lot of people did not go back home. A lot of people went to Singapore. A lot of people they spent their 2 weeks elsewhere. So a lot of the guys would tell me exactly what they were doing. A lot of them had girlfriends in Singapore. A lot of them went to
Amsterdam. These ladies were with bananas. So what'd you do with the bananas?
No, not in Amsterdam. This was I think this was in Singapore and Thailand. And we'll get into that because Lizzo actually admitted to doing that. So it's a whole thing, and it's a whole thing.
I want to know your personal story, please. Another time.
Well, I mean, my personal story is they were trying to get me to go. I chose to go back to America.
I thought you had
No. My personal story. I know these things exist. Is all I'm saying. Okay. I've never. Okay, Danielle. Why did I let this? I knew this was gonna happen. This is why I give her a hard time about her boyfriend and her connections, y'all.
Against Lizzo specifically, do you think she was aware of the sexual harassment you say you experienced from Quigley?
I think in a way, Lizzo definitely knew that Charlene was a very outwardly religious person, which is not a problem. It's just when you try to force that onto other people and then in turn make some kind of like strange sexual
I wonder though if what she's talking about is like maybe Charlene praying before performances, because I do see a lot of artists do that in the background. I wonder if it's just something as simple as trying to make the girls pray. Even if that is the case, you cannot do that. If somebody, like, even when I'm talking to you guys, I acknowledge that there's people from all walks of life who watch and who are part of the straight shooter community. That's why I say, prayers up, pray for so and so, or just send them positive energy. I always say that because you never know exactly what the next person's religious preferences are.
It's just a sexually charged situation. And I'm not sure if she was fully aware of that, because I don't really think she tried her best to keep tabs on everything that we were going through and, dealing with. But I do know that she knew that that Charlene was very, very adamant about sharing her faith in the workplace.
So I just want to sort of point out some of the specifics in your lawsuit in regards to what you're talking about. You said you're alleging that Quigley was pushing her religious beliefs on the dancers, and then was sort of critical of dancers who, didn't kind of believe what she believed. But I think kind of some of the more disturbing allegations has to do with sort of a night of partying in Amsterdam, where the allegation is that some of the dancers were pressured into, touching a nude performer. Amsterdam has a red light district that is legal, but that the dancers were made to feel very uncomfortable and participate in ways that they did not want to do. So I'm going to sort of reiterate Ed's question. These are allegations that really the direct question is: did Lizzo know about this behavior that you're alleging?
Well, Lizzo was a participant in Lizzo is the reason that I specifically was pressured to touch a new performer. She singled me out at the club that I didn't want to be at, but was told I couldn't really back out since I already said I was going before I knew what it really was. Once I had time to research it, me and Noel Rodriguez also, we figured out what it was, and we're like, okay, maybe we should not go, this is a little weird. But then we were told that a head count was already sent, a list was already sent, so she knows who's coming. And at that time, we had already been kind of fearing for our jobs and being ostracized. So it's an understanding in the camp that if you don't really participate and try to get in with Lizzo, you won't be booked on as many jobs. She won't like you as much. It just, you'll be ostracized later. So we stayed in the corner. We talked to each other the whole time. We tried to ignore what was happening. A lot of crazy things were happening. And after.
Okay, so for insight, in Amsterdam, in their red light district, not only do you see like women performing, there's also live shows with men and women. There are all kinds of things that go on in the red light district. Somebody says that the club has already spoke out, and it looked like all of Lizzo. Esther said, "I'm from Amsterdam," and the strip club said that they did not see any of this, and that Lizzo and her dancers were having fun. The problem with the club speaking out is they're gonna always speak out for the celebrity, and these girls are saying they were basically coerced into attending something that was sexually charged that they did not want to. Either way it goes, it's not looking good for Lizzo. And this probably helps the girls' case because the club saw them there. So you can't deny that it happened. Now it's going to be a matter of, well, I feel this way. You made me feel this way. I did not want to do it. Neither did this other girl, and we were forced. So again, it's not looking good for Lizzo. Danielle, do you have anything to chime in on that?
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of back in the day when women were, let's say, like admin assistants to men and were forced to do things to keep their jobs. When that young lady just said that, that's the first thing I thought of.
And even if it's not a thing of we're actually, I want to be careful because they have been demonetizing my videos like crazy. Even if it's not a thing of this, if you are, say, forcing your employee to go to a strip club, I know a lot of times now business deals are made in the strip club, right? Over some wings and stripping. Everybody's not comfortable with that. And I applaud these young ladies for saying I didn't want to do it. They could be the stick in the muds. That's fine. They're there to dance for you. They're not necessarily there to be your friends. And what it's sounding like is Lizzo wanted an environment of all friends. Would I party with Lizzo? Yes. I like Lizzo. Not just the body positivity. She's just fun. I listen to her interviews and I'm like, yeah, I definitely would. Mims was outside this weekend. It is what it is. I don't do it very often, but when I do, I'm probably the one you want to hang with. Or Danielle, because Danielle has some Shout out to Mad
Stop.
Beef. Danielle has some stories too. Mad Beefs is keeping his foot on Lizzo's neck, and everybody else, check out his channel. Really funny guy. He does a lot of clips. In fact, I have one of your videos that I probably will queue up because he did his own version of Surviving Lizzo. Okay, let's continue on. And we got like 500 people in here. We still only have 100 likes. Definitely hit that like button, people.
A lot of explicit things went on. Lizzo kind of saw me, singled me out. She was kind of going around like inviting people to touch the nude performers. And I guess it was my turn. And she, started a chant. She was like, "Oh, Ari, it's your turn to do it." And I was like, "No, I'm okay." She was like, "No, come on, do it." And I said no again. And then she said, "Ari, Ari." And then everyone kind of in the club joins in. And they're like, "Ari, Ari." So of course, like I had to do it because I couldn't like get out of that situation. So I briefly, touched, and everyone started laughing. It was funny to them because me of all people, they see me as like a very, modest or, that kind of person. So me of all people touching a nude person is like hilarious.
And how were you feeling at the time?
I was mortified. I even remember like trying to cope with how awkward I felt by like making a joke about like the lotion that the nude performer was wearing. Like I don't even know. I didn't know what to do.
Everybody is not into girl on girl, Lizzo. Like, that's the whole point. We're to a place in society where it's like, okay, gay men might get ostracized for what they do, but it's acceptable for women to do everything with women. Like, it's crazy the double standard, how that plays out. But Lizzo, if the girl didn't want to do it, you've reached a level of celebrity where you have to understand it could come back to bite you. Like, why would you even want to force somebody to do something like that? Danielle?
Yeah, and the fact that she was forced to touch, it's not like she was forced to just like maybe dance or receive a lap dance. She was forced to touch. That means use her hand that probably didn't have any rubber glove, any type of protection on it, and touch his body part. Or their body part. I don't know if it was a man or woman, but still, that's
It was a woman.
That's at that point you're being a bully. Sorry, can I say that word? Can we say that? I don't want you to get messed up, but that's not cool.
No, I mean, no. This is a straight shooter video. We're gonna somebody says she was not forced. So when forced, coerced.
When they chant, that's peer pressure. That's a stream of forcing. Like, so what was she supposed to do? Because again, they already said they felt like if they didn't participate in these things with Lizzo, they could potentially lose their job. So what do you do to save your check? And at the club chanting at you. You're going to do it. Peer pressure.
Leah has her law degree. She says she was invited to touch. She could have turned down the invitation. I know, but Leah, it's your boss telling you to do it. Like, you already... I think the girls are going to get their $75,000. I'm surprised they didn't ask for more.
Yeah, want their yearly salary. But again, yes, she was invited. When she denied or turned it down, they asked her again. And then Lizzo starts encouraging the chant, and now the whole club is chanting. What do you do? Do you keep...
Not acceptable for some girl to touch me. I didn't force to touch her from the statement. She gave into peer pressure. Yeah, I think peer pressure would just be from your coworkers. I feel like when your boss is making you do it, it's a little different. In a work environment, it feels forced. I just don't know. I've never had a situation. Well, I did have a situation where a boss brought drinks in to the workplace for New Year's. But I've never had a situation where I felt like I had to do something sexual. I can't even imagine. And, maybe the girl is a virgin like me and is not really ready to do anything like that until marriage.
You can't even get that out your mouth without laughing.
Were you there? Until you were there with me.
That ever.
Okay, let's finish because we still got to get to Lizzo's
to do. So I just kind of like laughed it off, and unfortunately I left soon after that with Noelle.
Ariana, Lizzo is obviously known for being a body image positive person, somebody who sort of just says you got to own who you are and be proud of it. But you've brought up an incident. You're alleging something that happened at the South by Southwest Music Festival that you claim contradicts this image that's been created around her. Tell us about it.
So actually, South by Southwest was mentioned at one of the end of tour parties, the end of the first leg of tour. Everyone was going around making their testimonials, and it was my turn. I wanted to speak up and say, hey, like, just thank you so much for like this great journey, because at the time it was a wonderful journey for the most part. Besides a couple snafus with management and their like microaggressions, but other than that, like the journey, I had met amazing people and it was great. So I was saying my piece, was saying thank you, and I was saying that before I did this, I didn't really believe in myself, and that it was hard when I first started, but I actually did it, and I was proud of myself. And she was like, oh yeah, I was worried about you at South by Southwest. And I was thinking to myself, like, why would she say that she was worried about me at South by Southwest? We were doing promo for the show in South by Southwest, and that was the first time I had physically shown up having gained weight in front of everybody and to a Lizzo event, a Lizzo gig or whatever. So that was the only noticeable difference about me. Everything else about me was absolutely the same. My dancing ability was the same. My energy was the same.
Now, that is left up to interpretation, right? You can't say that your dancing ability was the same. The whole point of her saying, I was worried about you, I do think that we have to take into account that people don't typically think of plus size people as people with an eating disorder. This girl has said that she had an eating disorder, and she definitely, to have an eating disorder and be in a space where everybody is supposed to be body positive. Lizzo only employed plus size women, and to feel singled out is disgusting. And I wish that if she said she was worried about her, I wish she would have said something to the effect of, I'm worried about you because, you know what I mean? I do think that it's left up to interpretation, because she did not say, Lizzo said, I was worried about you because of your weight gain. So some of this is, there's a gray area. Danielle, you're the HR person. What do you think?
So if Lizzo were to say, I was worried about you because of your weight gain, that's now singling out, and you're using the words worried about you to cover up. I'm doing an air quote concern. So I think a lot of this, to your point, is interpretation, but pay attention to that clip that news channel is using, because all of the dancers are not plus size. I did see 2 non-plus size women, if that makes sense, if that's a word, in a couple of the clips that they use. But yes, I think it is interpretation, but we also can't tell her how she's supposed to feel with whatever was said.
Plus size, I do think she specifically hired all plus size dancers, and maybe some were not as plus size as others, but her whole crew is of plus size women.
It's one skinny chick. But I also think these conversations that Lizzo's having probably weren't for her to have. This should be management. And I think this is where she messed up. She got comfortable. And not saying you can't be comfortable with your staff and your people, but when it comes to gentle topics like this, and maybe she felt like it was okay because she was comfortable.
You went out, Danielle.
And it should have been with management around, and not necessarily Lizzo saying it.
Okay, let's see. So let me show you, because I can show you this. I just can't play the video, but I can show you guys. These are like Lizzo's dancers. So even though I don't know about the one that you said would be.
Go to the one with all pink.
Okay, I'll look for that as this one plays.
All of the girls can attest to that. But the only thing about me that was different was my weight. And I believe she was trying to allude to the fact that I was gaining weight in like a way that she wouldn't like get canceled. That makes sense. So it was never like you're fat, you're getting fired. It was never you're gaining too much weight. It was never blatant. It was very nuanced. And she stated in one of the meetings that we had, she was like, dancers get fired. She was basically saying how grateful we should be that she knows our names and that she gives us the time of day. And then she was also saying that, you should be grateful because dancers get fired for gaining weight. And then she kind of looked at me, and I don't know if she remembers if she looked at me, but it always felt like that. And then there was another instance when I was cornered into a room with just her and the choreographer, who I looked up to very, very much. So it was very intimidating. And they pulled me into a private meeting, and they wanted to know what was wrong with me. Because they said I don't seem the same. All of these don't seem the same, and what's wrong with you? Something must be going on. We can see right through you. All these kind of things have been said to me in a way to like mask as a safe space, but really there was this underlying air of like, why are you bigger?
Right.
I know that I don't get. I do think that some of these interviews, because they are very well prepped for these interviews with their attorney sitting next to them, it's hearsay. You know, it could be argued that you felt insecure and you took what I said and interpreted it that way, but I didn't say that specifically.
I found,
So I don't think that'll hold up.
to your point of the attorneys being there, I found it interesting that the attorney sat with during the TMZ interview and not during this interview. To your point, yes, they could have been prepped, but I just found it interesting. Maybe he didn't have time. That time schedule didn't work for him, but I thought that caught my eye that he sat in one and not the other.
Kimmy says Lizzo isn't the only celebrity hiring. Now, here's the thing, because we, straight shooter, pow pow, we got to call a thing a thing. Not everybody is hiring plus size dancers. Lizzo was one of the first people who I saw, just like Beyonce was one of the first people I saw to only hire a female band. So as much as I love Lizzo, I'm going to call a thing and say, maybe they did not feel like they would get other opportunities because people are not hiring plus size dancers.
Right.
That's what it felt like.
So let me ask
yeah.
Crystal. A lot of people are going to hear these accusations and be shocked precisely because of what Ed said. Lizzo is known for body positivity. Crystal, I want to ask you, why did you want to work with Lizzo? And that some of her fans are going to say, well, you didn't say anything about this experience until after you were fired. So how do you respond to them?
I know for me and Ari's case in particular, our first time even being introduced to her was through the show. So of course, before meeting her, we had this idea of her, and everybody knows her message and her brand and what she stands for when it comes to body positivity, equality for different races, for different genders. And things of that nature. So, of course, with me being a plus-size Black woman in America, I did identify with a lot of the things that she stood for. And, of course, I love to dance. That's what I'm passionate about. So whenever the opportunity came for me to get the chance to work with her, that seemed like like my absolute dream job, to which I ended up booking. So we kind of had like this high start. And then over time, as reality kind of sets in and you're seeing that everything isn't the way that it seems, that there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, your ideas of things quickly start to shift. And especially with this being like our first professional job, our first tour, we're literally learning everything as we go. And of course, everybody knows that kind of like in Hollywood and in the industry, things that happen don't necessarily get talked about as often.
Do you guys wonder, and you can put it in the chat and the replay gang, if this is maybe their first celebrity tour, their first celebrity encounter? Because, I mean, people are just in the know about what happens behind the scenes. A celebrity liking some of their employees and, taking them with them. Case in point, I watched, y'all know I'm a reality TV buff. I can remember times where Danny DeCane, because I watched every episode of Making the Band, the boys, the girls, and the first Making the Band, who had to walk to, where did they walk to? They had to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge to get some cheesecake. There you go. And actually the cheesecake is pretty good there. I can remember Diddy making them do that, but I can also remember specifically for Danny DeCane, there was something about Aubrey that Diddy connected with. And I'm not saying connected like connected. I'm not saying connected like this. I'm saying there would be times that Diddy would take Aubrey and his girlfriend to Vail, or I remember specifically, I think they were at Sundance at the film festival. It was just Aubrey. Then Diddy chose Dawn specifically to be in a music group with him. He liked the way she sang. He liked the way Aubrey acted. I feel like we all know that there can be favoritism. It's not like corporate America. There are going to be people like Lizzo who party like a rock star. So what happens there? Do you think the public is going to side with these women, or is the public going to side with the status quo because Lizzo is doing what we expect rock stars to do?
So I think it's a little different with the comparisons, because with Diddy, he ended up
you're messy, Miss Lady T.
He ended up putting her in the girl group. I mean, a group with him. So that was more he could charge it off to being professional. They were working together. They were creating content together. Whatever. I see where you're going with this, and I have to ride the fence with it this time because I just feel like it could go both ways. The other and then we don't know if conversations were had with the other ladies or the other people of Bad Boy when he was taking the Danity Kane members on separate trips and things. We don't know.
I mean, not that Diddy is the moral compass or moral authority for anything.
Exactly.
I would, let me not say that. I'm already getting demonetized left and right. I was about to say, I'm trying. It's hard to keep it together because my mouth can be a little reckless. And they already got me for something I said about Michael Darby. So I'll leave it at that.
I bumped into a couple of weeks ago, and I bumped into Chris.
You bumped into Michael?
And Candace's husband.
They were together?
No, they weren't. It was two separate
you know, Danielle, I was about to say something else.
Yes, no.
I'm trying, y'all. YouTube is really messing with me. These demonetizations are ridiculous.
And they kind of get swept under the rug. So it was just a lot to process up until things kind of spiraled out of control.
Crystal, you know, there's that old expression, don't meet your heroes because they might disappoint you. I mean, is this just maybe a case of...
No, this I don't agree with because I watched a lot of Lizzo interviews and we're about to get into one right now. I know what Lizzo's about. Lizzo is breaking the mold. And I love the fact that Lizzo is always going to do Lizzo. And if a male celebrity was saying and doing what Lizzo was about to do, people wouldn't bat an eye. Shout out to Matt Beefs. He's in the chat. He was where I got this clip from. This is Lizzo talking at a radio station. I skipped the part where she talked about the banana actually being in the baby door, but because she was the language was a little bit foul, but let's get into it.
You have to go.
Yes.
And that's what I want to do.
Then you have to eat it.
I need my potassium, if you know what I'm saying.
Could you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
That was Lizzo talking about, and it's like pink. I believe it's Thailand. There are clubs where women put ping pongs in their baby door or bananas in the baby door, and they blow out the ping pong and you catch it in your mouth. Shout out to Jolene. Baby door is her thing. And the banana, they just stick it in and you eat it out. There are, you know.
I've actually seen a stripper do that here in DC.
Okay, I didn't know. I mean, because where I'm from, they're moving towards more conservative. So you have to have, like, if you're in the club, you have to have it's like a paint over your parts and stuff like that. So, you know, that's Lizzo admitting to it. And that was from Matt Beef's channel. Where is the other one he had? This was Lizzo's tour manager praying.
Here really quick and say, God is so, so good. God loves you so, 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 so much. No matter what you're going through, even if you don't love him, he loves you. Glory to God. I just want to remind you that he is love. He is truth. He is the light. He is the first and the last. And all things work together for those that are called according to his purpose. And I just feel so blessed. I feel so thankful. I feel so full of joy. I had such an amazing time on tour with amazing people. And I'm so excited to be home, resting with my family and my dog after an amazing experience.
Would you make your family and dog touch people's?
You silly. You are so silly.
I mean, look.
You are so silly.
You're releasing this prayer after these accusations come out. I think it would have been better suited for her not to say anything.
Now, okay, so is she praying about the situation and after the situation? Like, have we checked her social media? Does she pray like this on a regular?
I would say go radio silent.
I agree.
After these accusations
but
come out.
So I disagree with that. Let me say this. If we go through her social, her IG page, and she's always praying like this, then she has to continue to pray like this. And not because once you go radio silent, then you look guilty. But if she's always doing like a weekly prayer or a daily prayer like this, then she has to continue on with it. But if this is new, then now, to your point, she shouldn't have said anything.
Now this, I'm so glad Mad Beefs caught this. I'm gonna show you guys. Hopefully they don't, take my monetization away, because they have been playing with your boy. This was hilarious in the worst way. Where is it?
Do Precious? No. Do Precious? No, that's not. I don't know her. That is Lizzo.
She is precious, though. Lizzo's precious.
That's like what I call her.
Lizzo is
Her nickname
precious.
is Precious to me.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, Danielle?
Yes, I remember, and it was not a good look for anyone. Like,
no,
the fact that Andy laughed so hard was bad. Who was it? Yeah, oh goodness, I wish they would have just cut that.
That was cringe, but it's not live. It's not live.
Remember, because they were like pre-recorded on Thursdays or something, so they should have left that on the editor's floor. That was
live.
But the way Andy and everyone laughed is bad. But no one ever checked them for it. That's the other sad part.
I laughed too, though. I mean, not in a good way. I laughed out of embarrassment. It was kind of like, did you really just do this? So all plus size Black women look alike, because I don't think Precious and Gabby look alike whatsoever.
Are Precious and Gabby the same person?
I'm sorry, Lizzo and you, Kathy. Look what you got me saying. Yeah,
But to your point, so that starts a whole nother conversation. Do they think all plus size Black women look alike? Air quotations around they.
Let's get to Lizzo's response. Okay, so Lizzo says, the last few days have been gut-wrenchingly difficult and overwhelmingly disappointing. My work ethic, morals, and respectfulness have been questioned. My character has been criticized. Usually I choose not to respond to false allegations, but these are as unbelievable as they sound and too outrageous not to be addressed. These sensationalized stories are coming from former employees who have already publicly admitted that they were told their behavior on tour was inappropriate and unprofessional. Now, that is something to be said. They did say that Lizzo accused them of drinking. And in Lizzo's defense, she did not say her issue with the girl was that she was gaining weight. She just said was something going on with her. Is that fair, Danielle?
I love how you're trying to clean all this up. It's fair. It's fair.
I'm not cleaning it up. I'm giving both sides. I like Lizzo, but I have publicly denounced on this live making that girl do that. But I
guess my thought process of it not being clear for me, because I need to know the timeline. When was she called out about the concern versus when the alcohol accusations came up? I need to know the timeline.
And thank you, Audrey. In all fairness, Kathleen mixed up Garcelle and Kyle. She did do that.
Did she? Was she?
Yes.
Kathy, but we know. Okay, so in all fairness, we know Kathy be on one sometimes. So yes, that's fair. But that's
fair. Yeah. Okay, we got over 700 in the chat. Guys, you know this is not my regular time. Definitely hit that like button. It says, as an artist, I've always been very passionate about what I do. I take music and my performances seriously because at the end of the day, I only want to put out the best art that represents me and my fans. With passion comes hard work and high standards. Sometimes I have to make hard decisions, but it's never my intention to make anyone feel uncomfortable or like they aren't valued as an important part of the team. I wonder if it was even smart for her to come out and respond. Tony, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Tony is currently in a meeting and sending super chats. So
I'm in a meeting. I'm in a meeting.
Well, thank you for being my ear and eye in the HR street, Danielle.
I told him I was on the phone with the pediatrician.
You never know with my degree. I am not here to be looked at as a victim, but I also know that I am not the villain that people and the media have portrayed me to be these last few days. I am very open with my sexuality and expressing myself, but I cannot accept or allow people to use that openness to make me out to be something I am not. There's nothing I take more seriously than the respect we deserve as the women in the world. I know what it feels like to be body shamed on a daily basis, and I would absolutely never criticize or terminate an employee because of their weight. And I got one more question about this now. Did they try to settle out of court? And Lizzo said, absolutely not. Because $75,000, even if it's times 2, is a drop in the bucket for Lizzo. Lizzo is a crossover act, which means she is making all the money. Lizzo is selling out concerts. Did they try to do this quietly where they could have got their $75,000 and signed an NDA and none of this would have ever hit the media? Or is this an instance where they wanted to embarrass her or make an example out of her?
That's the first thing I asked myself when I saw that the TMZ video, because I'm sure that was a conversation the attorney had with them. Do you want to go public with this, or do you want to settle out of court? And he probably
advised to settle.
No, I'm thinking he advised the opposite. And I'm thinking he advised the opposite, because don't forget his point or his seat in this too, because he now gets to sit back as the attorney who represented the 2 young ladies in the Lizzo case. So that hypes him up too. Yeah. And I hate to say it, the fact that he's a white man, I felt like those young ladies should have got someone from our own community to represent them, but it is what it is. But yeah, I feel like he advised them, and this is just my personal opinion, he advised them to come forward. So, because again, it's going to hype him up, help his career as well.
I mean, I would have just tried to settle, because now I don't know. Like, having to hear that she has an eating disorder and all these things, that can't be easy to come out and say so publicly.
Or is it a situation where they came forward because this might be happening in other camps?
I don't think it's going to stop. I think that the average person, like I said, I've talked to a couple people, one tour with Beyonce. The average camp is happy to hang out with them. I know the guy who was putting together the stuff for Janet Jackson to go partying. I know Janet will make a call in a city like New York and say, I want to come out. So do my dancers. Can you stay open? And the clubs will stay open and clear out just so that Janet and her people can go party.
Right. It's one thing for you and your camp to go party, but it's another thing when you're selecting those from your camp because they're willing to participate in things that the others don't want to participate. That's the bottom line here. It's not that they went out to party. It's the fact that either you do this or you don't get to perform that particular night. It's basically dangling a carrot in front of their face, and the carrot being their job. That's the big picture here. So it's not about going out to party with your supervisor. Everyone can do that. We do that as regular people. You go to happy hour with your supervisor. But it's the fact that now your job is contingent on certain things that this person has placed in front of you.
Okay. Sandra says it's still on Prime, meaning the show where Lizzo was scouting out for dancers. Watch that young dancer. I believe her. It was her dream. I mean, I did watch a couple episodes, but I'm not going to say that I'm fully well-versed on that show. I'm hurt, but I will not let the good work I've done in the world be overshadowed by this. I want to thank everyone who has reached out in support to lift me up during this difficult time. Look. What is funny to me, why I always go up for Lizzo is, I hope that is not showing, because again, we'll stop sharing that. I didn't expect that to be shared. This is what Lizzo's other person had to say. This woman worked for Lizzo. She was doing a documentary for her. It is nice to see that Lizzo employs a lot of people of color and gives people opportunities that would not normally be given opportunities. Corey pointed out that Janet Jackson also employs plus size dancers. But it's few and far between. So now we have Lizzo and Janet. So, the pressure is on for these women to perform at a level that, the star is selling out arenas, but they should not be pressured to touch sex workers. Sorry, Lizzo, I can't get with that part of it. And I never will. I'm liberal in my thinking, but coercion is coercion.
Yeah.
explaining that in 2019, she traveled with Lizzo as the director of her documentary, but walked away after 2 weeks, claiming she was treated with such disrespect. I witnessed how arrogant, self-centered, and unkind she is. Sophia calls the situation and adds that she felt gaslit and was deeply hurt, but has since healed. Reading the
So that was the statement from Lizzo's documentary filmmaker. She did hire a woman of color. Okay, so I don't know if you watch Beyonce's documentary and stuff like that. And sometimes when Nicki Minaj talks about it, there are things that men in the industry get away with, like, and they just call them a boss. Everything that they say goes because they're the ones with the money. They are the celebrity. Oftentimes when women do the same thing, they're criticized as being, female dogs or criticized in a way that men aren't. Danielle, would you agree with that?
I 1000% agree.
So, Beyonce will fire people on the spot, and it's funny because she's Beyonce. Who else did that? I think Prince might have changed. No, Michael changed his lyrics before because I think there was a smoke machine that was doing too much smoke, and he changed his lyrics to say somebody was going to get fired. We've seen behind the scenes these people and how they react to people, how they have a clear point of view and they want to make sure that you are making their vision come to life. We have bosses who aren't nice, who, so what are we saying here? She's unkind. She was gaslit. These sound like grievances from employees who just weren't happy, which most of us are employees who aren't happy.
So here's one thing I always try to tell people. We have these websites where you can go read reviews about different companies. 9 times out of 10, the reviews that are written come from an employee who was terminated. To your point, that means they're unhappy. So now they want to go put it out on Blue Ivy's World Wide Web. You have to take that with a grain of salt. But again, in this situation, yes, these ladies are unhappy that they were terminated, but I think it was more so of banana. It was the other actions that took place. And I think they're speaking up because they feel that these things were why they were terminated, as opposed to being terminated for their work. They were terminated because they didn't want to play in a sandbox with Lizzo, as opposed to being terminated because I couldn't keep my dance moves up. 2 different things.
They might win the money, but for Lizzo, this is going to damage her. This is definitely going to damage Lizzo. It's going to damage her brand. If they lose the lawsuit, I could see Lizzo suing.
Oh, I don't think they're going to lose the lawsuit. I think it is going to go to settlement. I don't think it's going to go all the way through. I think they're going to end up settling. But then that looks like, and I honestly, I don't know, because if you settle, it's almost like you're guilty. You just want to pay it to go away. And some people just get fed up and they want to pay it to go away. It depends on if anyone else comes out, because how many other people were feeling uncomfortable. Because in the interview, the young lady keeps naming somebody Noelle. Who is Noelle? Where is Noelle? Because these young ladies are Ariana and Crystal. Where's Noelle that one lady kept referencing? I want to speak to Noelle. Noelle needs to come and show her face, or his face, whoever Noelle is.
This is Surviving Lizzo Part 1. I expect that the rollout for this is going to be crazy. And if this goes to trial, I just can't imagine it. You might be right. They're probably going to settle. Danielle is the one who made me buy y'all this toothbrush. So
I'm still waiting for my toothbrush.
I really am working with the editors to edit all the stuff because I want to kind of show in that celebration part of those interviews with the sex workers. So that's why it's taking so long. That's why
the toothbrush is going to need an upgrade, and we're going to need the next one.
I've not seen anything past the 9900.
Okay.
And Danielle is loaded. So if you want to donate to the channel, Danielle, you are more than welcome to do so.
I will.
But now we got this too. Once I hit 10,000 on Instagram, somebody will get this Versace water or liquor bottle or whatever.
A Versace water bottle? Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I appreciate you guys. If you weren't watching yesterday, because I know we did a lot on the the Carlos King-Nini interview, what I was saying was I've been going through like a really, really dark time, and you guys have helped me. That's why I keep shopping for you guys. To say I appreciate you. Thank you so much for subscribing to my sister. I think she now already has like 100 people. I will share her channel name again. She did a whole live episode with me last week, and I really love that she was able to do that with me. And I really love that she has progressed in her health to a point where she's now comfortable being on camera. That was a big deal as well. You guys are great. Danielle, thank you for ignoring your real job and being a real straight shooter.
Let me go back to my employee. I got a whole team I'm trying to run here, and these ladies are fighting. So let me go.
If I report you to HR, do I get something?
I am HR. I'm a director, so come for it. Let's try me.
See, I told y'all she had money. All I had to do was poke her a little bit. Danielle is where the money resides.
Bye.
I have another video that will come out later today. It's about Candy, so definitely check that out. I will see you guys later. Put in the comments if you're the replay gang. If you feel Lizzo is going to win this one or lose this one, do you believe the young ladies? And like the video. I don't even think we don't even have 400 likes. Definitely hit that like button, and I'm going to see you guys later. Have a good one.